Welcome to the weekly Forex forecast where we are turning market predictions into profits. On the daily time frame, we are currently approaching a huge major support level. Hence why on the 4-hourly time frame, I believe there's going to be a bounce of some sort over here. My prediction is that it might just go towards the upside, towards the 2 moving averages, and this is where we could potentially enter if we get a candlestick confirmation, whether that's a shooting star, bearish engulfing candlestick, some price action that confirms that bearish pressure is still here and it should continue dropping down. Once we manage to break this area of support, we should be able to reach our full take profit just over here, and I believe we're going to reach that take profit level before we actually touch the moving averages over here and they react and push the market back up. This is on the weekly. Also, it's a good thing to mention that on the monthly, there's 3 days left until this month's closure, right? So if it's going to be a closure of a bearish engulfing candlestick bouncing off the 20 moving average, this is already a great indication to go towards the downside to potentially retest in the long term, and that would be a price range of around 800 pip drop. So this is massive, and if that candlestick does close, my higher time frame analysis will always be short. So very similar technical analysis on GBPUSD. This is the daily time frame. We can see a nice M pattern forming. If we manage to break this neckline just over here with a nice bearish engulfing candlestick or a shooting star, push exhaustion, entry over here to continue the drop towards the downside. Since Euro US dollar and GBP USD both correlate to one another, I expect this pair to also be very bearish. But for now, since we're waiting for that push exhaustion push on the higher time frame, we need to analyze the 4-hour time frame to see what's going on. So we're currently on a squeeze, right? And I expect the market to pull back towards the upside near the 2 moving averages. Somewhere over here could be a nice little entry to retest the previous bottom level. This is on the 4-hour time frame, so maybe something like 100 pips take profit would be great. We can take a quick look on the weekly time frame, and he has managed to break the 20 moving average just about over here. So I expect a move towards the downside. Nonetheless, daily support is quite strong. We also haven't broken the 100 moving average just yet, but after a break there's going to be an exhaustion, a push towards the downside, I'm sure. So to conclude, if it goes towards the upside for another bounce, you could potentially enter here for a 100 pip trade. If it manages to break this daily low, a strong push towards the downside, exhaustion, then we can enter a long-term trading position for a great short. So USD Japanese yen also forming a bullish engulfing candlestick as mentioned previously. In 3 days, if it closes like that, it's bullish. We could potentially aim to retest this previous area zone. That's quite a lot of pips, actually 1200 pips. So for the long term, very bullish if this closes. On the weekly time frame, we managed to break one of the moving average, which is the 50. We haven't broken the 20 just yet, and there actually is a strong area of resistance just over here. If we just draw it, we actually can see that it's near the 2 higher period moving averages, so I expect some sort of exhaustion back down. Actually, this is a strong area of resistance and we are not too far away from it. So 71 pips for a buy, but I wouldn't risk it. The market did move heavily towards the upside, so on the 4-hour time frame, if we get an exhaustion back towards the moving averages, potentially you could enter the trade long once again to potentially retest that previous area top. If USD Japanese yen manages to reach this area zone, we cannot trade until we have a pullback, unless it just manages to break through this daily area resistance, but I don't really expect that happening just yet. Okay, this is monthly for Kiwi US dollar, and we can see a bearish engulfing candle forming. Again, the same thing. All US dollar pairs basically have a bearish engulfing candle on the monthly in this case. So I expect a move towards the downside, potentially aim for this area low. That's quite a lot actually. Price range tool around 200-300 pips for take profit. What's interesting, on the weekly we actually managed to break the 20 moving average. This already shows great bearish pressure. We had the little M pattern on the lower time frames, and the neckline has been broken. It should initiate a lot of selling pressure. Now this is the daily time frame, and excuse these trades, we actually placed them with our VIP members. You should join our Discord or Telegram. We are smashing the markets. But as you can see, bearish engulfing candlestick closure past the 2 moving averages as well. This already is a great indication for short trading opportunities. So on the 4-hourly time frame, we just broke past this previous area of support, right? So how could we enter? Well, we had a push, right? After a push, there has to be an exhaustion. Previous area sensitivity is likely where the exhaustion is gonna end, because that's where the 2 moving averages are at. So if it pulls back towards the 0.62 area level, this is where you could potentially aim for a short trading position and go for a retest towards the bottom. That would be around let's say 50 to 60 pips. That's pretty damn good. And potentially if it breaks into a new low, and potentially if it manages to break into a new low, you could aim for much higher. So very nice trading opportunity. I will definitely be looking at it with my VIP members next week. Hopefully we get a nice little trade and carry on making money on NZDUSD. It has been beautiful last week. So USD Canadian dollar, I really love this actually. Bullish engulfing candle once again. I mean, it hasn't closed yet, so please remember 3 days left. But if it does close as a bullish engulfing candle, great indication to go long. Now, weekly time frame, we had that squeeze like a champagne bottle is shot towards the upside. On the daily, this shows strong bullish pressure again just over here. And this is again one of our VIP trades that we smashed. But if we just remove that for a little bit, just to not confuse anything, as we can see, we had that huge rejection over here. I expect a move towards the downside of some sort, because USDCAD has been moving towards the upside quite viciously, I would say. So we need some sort of exhaustion. I expect an exhaustion towards this area level, I would say, in between the 20 and 50 moving averages. If we do get an exhaustion, you could potentially long this position just over here. You could even aim for around 160 pips, I would say. Because resistance is around this area zone on the daily. So this is great. Hopefully it carries on respecting the channel. So last week we discussed USD Swiss, and as you can see, it actually broke past this previous area resistance. The channel has now been broken, shooting towards the upside. However, on the monthly, we are reaching 20 and 50 moving averages, so I expect a lot of selling pressure. Weekly does show the same thing. Although we broke the 100 moving average, 220 is here. Very near actually, so I expect a lot of selling pressure at some point. Now daily, with that strong push towards the upside, we have to have an exhaustion. And on the 4-hour time frame, even though all the moving averages are below the candlesticks and there is a steep trend clearly towards the upside, I do expect some sort of pullback. So maybe a short trade somewhere over here, because it's going to react towards the daily area or the monthly even moving averages. So I'm really not too sure about this trade at this very moment. I won't be trading it. It's too risky, because simply we just don't know when selling pressure will kick in due to the monthly and weekly moving averages, which is a strong time frame resistance we need to be careful of. All right, Aussie US dollar, beautiful bearish engulfing candlestick. Again, 3 days left, but if it closes, that's amazing. On the weekly, there was a nice little channel was broken with bearish engulfing, and now a huge strong bearish candlestick once again. Actually managed to break the 20 moving average just here. Let me remove that once again. But as you can see, the daily time frame 100 moving average is here. So we could have some form of support to pull back towards the upside. Now if we just have a look, we could just draw a rectangle tool over here. It could be an area sensitivity just here. Need to be a little bit careful. Let's have a look at the 4-hour. Where did the market bounce? As you can see, the moving averages are very far away, so we do need a push towards the upside quite a bit before we can actually enter. But if we do get an exhaustion, maybe towards this area level over here. This could be a nice little entry position to potentially retest the bottom, or if it manages to break, you could even take a little bit more. So around 160 pips, 80 pips stop loss. Make sure to cover moving averages when placing stop losses. It will just do wonders for you. So this is gold US dollar. We discussed this trade last week, and as you can see, just dipped down nicely, 4,600 points. You got to love it. Very steady channel towards the downside. Absolutely beautiful. However, on the monthly time frame, we are approaching one of the moving averages, which is the 20. We might have some sort of pullback towards the upside. Weekly, same thing. 3 moving averages over here does suggest that there could be a push towards the upside once again. So monthly and weekly has strong area supports, and daily just over here as well. So there's not a lot of movement at the moment for gold to continue this bearish trend. I believe there's going to be some form of exhaustion, whether it's going to be the weekly moving averages from here, this previous area kind of support, or it's gonna manage to break that weekly area and bounce off the daily. So I'm not too sure on this one. I don't think there's a lot of space for movement. I mean, on the 4 hourly, it did manage to break into new lows every single time. So maybe a short-term trade, a very short-term scalp or day trade could be valid. Maybe on the 1 hour time frame, if we get a pullback towards here, we could potentially retest this area zone if we enter here. So a nice little 1,000 move towards the downside could be sufficient, could be pretty good. But I would be careful as well, because this area zone is still the weekly moving averages. So anytime buyers could come in and just push the market up ferociously. And this is the end for the Forex weekly forecast. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, like if you found value in this video, and make sure to join our Discord and Telegram communities, because we are absolutely dominating the market. See you guys next week. Goodbye.